Afternoon. I just wanted to share a couple thoughts about surrender. Um, you know, it's something I've spent a lot of time thinking about, as many people have, out of necessity, out of a need to survive, not out of a academic kind of thing. And I think two things that are relevant would be the book of Ecclesiastes and the wise old sage, and then on the complete other end of that would be a child, would be Jesus with the kids. And there's a not so obvious connection between Jesus talking about being a child and about the wise old sage, the Solomon figure, saying that life is meaningless and all you can kind of do is surrender. But you go through life, you try your own crap over and over and over, and you just get broken and broken and broken, and all that happens is that the pieces of you get tinier and tinier and tinier as you get broken into more and more pieces. And you keep thinking that you can tape them all back together. You keep thinking that you can glue them all back together, and that you're going to get it right this time. And I think the optimism that you have when you're trying to put your life together, or when you're trying to go a different direction, or when you're trying to heal a relationship or a marriage or a work situation, whatever it may be, the optimism is good. The hope is good. It's great to dust yourself off, to though a righteous man falls 7 times, he'll get up again. You get up again. You have that dignity, you have that character to keep fighting, to keep pushing, to keep trying, not giving up. That's noble. But as you've heard people say countlessly, it's about putting your strength in God, not in yourself. Putting your strength in something bigger than you. I work with people that are in recovery, addiction recovery, and there's a reason the whole higher power thing is so important. Even if they don't believe anything supernatural, just the humility of admitting there's bigger things than you, even if that's humanity, even if that's for some of the guys it's the program itself. But it's getting to an almost childlike place where you recognize your own strength ain't gonna cut it. And some of us, we got to get our pieces broken so tiny that they can never be put back together again before we finally say, okay, I need something bigger than me. So getting back to the scriptural standpoint, there is this direct connection between Ecclesiastes, between the wise old sage saying, meaningless, everything is meaningless. It's a chase after the wind. What am I going to do? Marriages fail, kids fail. If I make a fortune, I just leave it to somebody else to squander, or governments to take, or it's this very cynical thing. But the moral of the story ends up being stand in awe of God. Just you're not going to control it all. You can't have a great enough plan or a great enough kingdom to make it all okay, to put all the pieces together in the way that you're going to feel good about, and make yourself whole. But you can kind of enjoy the moment. You can kind of stand in awe of something bigger than yourself, and that puts you in a childlike state. And that is where it connects to Jesus saying we have to be like little kids. We have to be like children. And that's the state of surrender. For some people, you could say it's surrender to kind of give up. I mean, that's surrender, right? But that's not the kind of surrender that brings hope and change. Like the kind of surrender where you go, I'm putting all my eggs in this basket, all this faith in something that is good, and I'm gonna be like a kid, because I don't really have a choice. What else am I gonna do? I know I'm never gonna put all these pieces back together like my fiance and I, we found some plates that were broken. Somebody had gone to the park, and I'm assuming it's a bad breakup. They wrote all these things with permanent marker on these plates, and they smashed the hell out of them. I don't know what the story was. I don't know if it was grandma's china, what the reason was they smashed the hell out of these plates, but it was some kind of cleansing exorcism ritual for themselves about a relationship. They smashed them all, and just out of morbid curiosity, her and I spent the afternoon picking up all these little pieces and taping them back together. it wasn't easy, and I can't say we ever got the full picture, but you know, I think about that when I think about surrender, and I think about putting all the pieces together, and I just realize there's, you know, my plates are so smashed up, the pieces are so tiny, I'm never going to find them all, I'm never going to put them all back together. Like that old Russ Taff song, pieces, you know, but giving them to God, where you're not giving up, you're not being apathetic, you're not saying F it to the world and F it to your life. You still have hope, you still are not letting go of a desire for goodness, but you're being a kid. Because kids, to some extent, I mean, trust a higher power, they have to. Some kids have terrible childhoods, but for the most part, you know, kids sitting at home playing Legos, they're not worried about the roof over the head or the bills coming in. For the most part, at least here in America, most kids grow up knowing they're going to be fed. There's a certain level of trust and surrender that's baked into a child's life, of knowing they're going to be cared for, of knowing there's certain things, you know, or not knowing. Like, there's so many things they're not even aware of that are being taken care of on their behalf. And we kind of have to go back to that state where we recognize, I just can't, man. There is nothing I can do. I'm at my limit. There's nothing I can do. I surrender. And the last point I'll say is, you know, I'm going to tie in Corinthians, you know, there's faith, hope, and love, and the greatest of these is love. I've noticed a journey with those positive aspects of looking at situations in life, whether it's a relationship or your life in general or a work thing. At first you have hope. Hope meaning you think a positive outcome exists. It's possible. You know, and then you have faith where it's like you think that a positive outcome is likely. You know, you have faith, you think it's going to turn out okay. And then love is this idea that has no outcome, doesn't matter. You just love. Whether you get what you want or don't get what you want, a positive outcome, not a positive outcome, doesn't matter. And that's why the greatest of these is love, because it doesn't involve self-interest. It is a good feeling, a good attachment to positive things in life and positive outcomes that is devoid of self-interest. And surrender's tied somewhere. All these little things I'm kind of throwing out there, I know they might not be coming together perfectly, but the beeline between all these things, between Ecclesiastes and life is pointless, so just stand in awe of it, and Jesus saying, you know, be like a little kid to enter the kingdom, and then this last piece, faith, hope, and love. Like, love is the greatest, because that is the ultimate surrender. You know, it's this positive feeling where, like, I can't hope anymore. I've hoped and hoped and hoped and hoped, and that let me down. I had faith. Actually, faith should come first. I had faith everything was going to be okay. The marriage was going to work out. The job was going to work out. I was going to overcome that addiction. I was going to get past this. You know, I talked myself up a million times over. I convinced myself, I can do it. I can do it. We're going to do it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to overcome. God's got me. Blah, 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 blah. That goes away. Then hope goes away. And all you're left with is love. And what do you love? Who do you love? Do you love God? Not because you're going to get anything, not because you're going to win the game, but because you'll go down with a ship if you have to, just because. And ironically, it is in that place of love where you're a little child and you're surrendered that miracles happen. And that's where you can stand on all in life, because good things will happen that you had nothing to do with. And you know it. You know it's not you. You know it's nothing you did, nothing you said, nothing you figured out. It was just Daddy, Abba Father, looking out for you and honoring your trust and your surrender and your hope and your faith that you put in Him. But ultimately just honoring the fact that you loved with integrity. You loved Him, and you loved your wife, or you loved your kids, or whatever it is that you had integrity, and you chose love, and you just, not because you're going to get what you want, but because you're just being honest about who you are. You love something, you love someone, you love an idea, you honor something. That's just who you are. And there's a rest that comes with just falling back into that and detaching yourself from the results. And that's what I would call surrender. And so I just wanted to throw that out there, and hope that's of some use to you. Be blessed and take care of yourself. All right.